Coming up this week on Oklahoma Horizon. Well, Oklahoma is widely regarded as a national leader in providing early childhood education, and it's an investment that a growing number of businesses are recognizing as the first step in planting the seeds for economic growth. This week on Oklahoma Horizon, investing in early childhood education.
Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education.
Oklahoma's investment in Career Tech provides more than nationally recognized technology education and training. It produces solid financial returns for the state's economic future. Oklahoma Career Tech, elevating our economy.
And the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. And now, from the Career Tech Studios in Stillwater, here's your host, Rob McClendon.
Early childhood education is more than a social issue. It's an economic issue as well. This week, we focus on the long-term benefits of investing in those first 5 years of a child's life. Did you know that 1/3 of Oklahoma's kindergartners are not ready to start school on that very first day? It's an issue that may seem minor, but as Quinn Tran explains, children falling behind early on can lead to a lifetime of shortcomings.
Emerson isn't a traditional high school in Oklahoma City. The students who come here are teenagers and toddlers.
A big focus is to teach the parents how to be their children's first teacher.
These parents are teen moms. Emerson School is designed to help them stay in school, teach them parenting skills, and assist with counseling and other needs. While the moms are in class, their babies attend Early Head Start.
Well, the Early Head Start program is critical because, first of all, these are very at-risk children. The interactions that they get here and the education that they get here is far superior to what they might be getting otherwise. It's just a fantastic foundation.
A foundation Noemi Billikana says she and her 3-year-old son need.
I'm lucky to be here and have this opportunity.
For the past 3 years, she has made a commitment that has now paid off. At 17, she earned her high school diploma. It's an achievement, and she says an investment to benefit her son.
I want him to grow up and have everything for him. I want him to learn from my mistakes.
Educators say early childhood education yields high returns by helping young children develop and preparing them to learn.
These are the kind of programs that help us not to ever have remediation. So it's a major quality investment. We can't ignore the brain research that we now have that tells us how important the development of the brain in these early years, and that we have the kind of stimulation and the quality program of what research over many years have taught us.
Nina Gonzalez heads the Tony Reyes Child Development Center in Oklahoma City. Gonzalez says all children have the potential to learn. It's up to grown-ups to foster the learning, inspire little ones to someday be leaders in careers that will build the state and care for its people.
The public, the private, everyone needs to jump on board and get this to make sure that the children of Oklahoma get a level playing field to start their education. Every child deserves the best in early care and early education.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon, featuring some of the good things that are happening in the great state of Oklahoma.
Well, understanding the value of early childhood investment is something our first guest today is noted for. Born and raised in western Oklahoma, James Heckman is a noted scholar and winner of the 2000 Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences. I had the opportunity to sit down with Dr. Heckman to talk more about the economic return on early childhood investment. We often speak about child care as a social issue, but is it also an economic issue?
Definitely. It's an economic issue because what we've come to understand is that skills are the central core of the modern economy. We ask, what is a major contributor to productivity? Well, we know that capital goods are important. We know machines and so forth. But people are important too, and skilled people. And so education is at the heart of the modern economy. And what's at the start of education? A good start. So in that sense, we know, because of the economics of the issue, that there's a very powerful argument that we made for investing in early childhood. Because it starts the process, which is a dynamic process, where skills beget skills, where motivation begets motivation. And when children get properly started on a trajectory of success, they become very successful. Complete school, go on, graduate college, not drop out of high school, and become skilled participants in the modern economy. So when we study this on a purely economic basis, we see a very high economic rate of return, a return that's higher than what you get in conventional investments in the stock market over the last, forget the last 10 months or so, but if you look at the stock market between 1945 and say 2008, the average rate of return is about 5.8%, 6% on equity, just holding a stock and just getting the capital gains, all the appreciations, dividend streams. If you look at what the rate of return is for a child, investment in a child, an early years investment, what you find is a rate of return that's between 6 and 10% for both boys and girls. 6 and 10% per year, each year, the rest of your lives. That's much higher than most passbook savings, much higher than what you get from a stock.
So essentially what we're talking about is workforce development.
Well, you're talking about workforce development, but you're also talking about other aspects. It's not just, it's development, it's enhancing the productivity, it's avoiding other drains on society as well, though. So for example, another benefit of the program would be reduced crime. And reduced crime, reduced burden on the schools to remediate early disadvantage. And so on an economic basis, you have those additional factors besides workforce development. But yes, it's workforce development as a primary output, but as well, reduced crime is a huge benefit.
Increasingly, we're learning that we live in a very competitive global economy. How do we stack up compared to other countries?
Well, we have slipped, there's no question about it. 50 years ago, the American educational system was the marvel of the world. We had one of the most highly educated workforces in the world. And what's happened is that we have no longer have that distinction by any means. We're way behind other countries. And the level of literacy and the level of sort of disadvantage at the bottom part of the distribution has actually been increasing. So we actually find that more than 20% of all Americans who are in the workforce or eligible to be in the workforce, say over age 16, say to 16 to 65, about 20% of those workers or potential workers don't have the literacy to understand the instructions on a bottle of pills. So you were to say, don't take a pill once a day, don't take more, or do some kind of not so complicated indication of how to handle the medication. 20% fail to have that knowledge. And that's just the tip-off of a very large problem, which is suggesting that we have a growing group of people. We're in a funny situation in America right now. A greater proportion of all Americans who are, say, 15 to 25 are going to college than ever before, okay? But at the same time, a greater proportion is dropping out of high school. So we actually are seeing society is dividing into two parts. And that bottom half is actually creating a greater burden on society. And this is not illegals coming in from Mexico with low levels of education. I'm talking about people born in the United States, raised in the United States, and so forth. So what you're seeing is a very productive top end of the distribution, which is creating wealth, producing a lot of ideas. And then you have a bottom end, which is actually withdrawing from society, not participating, and actually, if anything, creating a drain on society through drugs, through basically not working, and through non-active participation in school, and a lot of other aspects of the social life. So we're getting a polarizing society. So yes, there's an economic benefit. Yes, there's also a social benefit.
Let me give you a figure here in Oklahoma. Of ninth graders, only 18% 6 years later have completed secondary education. They're in their second year of college or some type of skills training. Mm-hmm. Is that a warning flag for our state?
It's a warning in the sense that these people who are graduating or not graduating are going to create a burden for themselves and the rest of society. Well, we see what's happened. The world is shifting towards higher level of education. Demand for skills has increased. There's no question about it. And in a situation where we have a global competitiveness, where large pools of unskilled labor are entering the workforce, the only way Americans can remain competitive is by being skilled, doing things that other people can't do. That requires education. Lots of people can do manual labor, whether it's in Vietnam, whether it's in southern China. What we have done traditionally, and we need to move into much more, is specialization in the high-end tasks, the kind of things that uniquely are American, the ability to innovate, to create, and to produce good new ideas, and to respond flexibly to changing challenges. So I think this figure looks bad from the point of view of producing a workforce that's competitive and producing something that actually is going to lead to long-term economic success.
Final question, how do we get there?
Well, I think there are a number of programs and plans that are put in place. I mean, to somebody walking into this area cold, there's always a bewildering array of plans and policies that gets to be a little bit crazy, maybe, for people to look at. I think what we've come to understand, though, is an early start plays a very important role. So when we start, for example, in years 0 to 3 even, we recognize that the child's brain and the child's whole personality is really fundamentally can be shaped in a productive way. Now, by shaped, I don't mean you build a sort of a uniform person and a template that's going to be like robots off of a factory. Not at all. But I think what we can do is challenge and supplement the kind of skills that children bring, even starting at birth. Their socio-emotional skills, and of course their academic skills. Look, in rich environments, in wealthy families, most wealthy families, not all, but in most wealthy families, what you have is a structure where children are being bathed in all kinds of supplements. Parents are taking the kids to museums. Parents are speaking to the kids. The verbal supplements that they get are enormous. Disadvantaged kids don't get that. So what happens is you start the cycle of disadvantage very early on. In many cases, by the time a kid enters grade school, the disadvantaged compared to the advantaged have such huge gaps that it's impossible to ask the school system alone to make up for these. So we have to think of a life cycle plan where we target different groups within the life cycle. We target different groups that have different susceptibilities and with different strategies at different stages of life. That's the part that's emerging for really understanding how we create people.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Still to come on Oklahoma Horizon, recognizing those who are shaping a new generation. But first, a look at how some Oklahoma businesses are incorporating child care into their business plan. Well, according to the Department of Labor, 72% of workplace absenteeism is due to child care related issues. Once again, here's Quinn Tran with a look at how private industry is coming up with some solutions.
Known as the City of Magnolias, Durant sits in south central Oklahoma. It's a small community that understands the value of partnerships in early childhood education. This Head Start program serves children in the community. It's supported by the Choctaw Nation and is part of the Smart Start Coalition, an organization that puts children first.
We can't be there their entire lives, but we can give them what they call a head start in the life. A lot of these children come from low-income families and would not be able to experience the opportunity that Head Start provides for them.
The opportunities include access to technology, the development of cognitive and social skills, creativity, and play. Business leaders like John Massey believe a financial commitment to early childhood education is a sound investment.
All kids want to do is be loved, and they want to learn. If you teach a kid to learn, and he'll enjoy learning, he enjoys being smart.
What we're doing today is building our workforce 20 years from now.
Ray Beachy is the president of Oklahoma City Educare. This Educare facility is the first to open in Oklahoma City, made possible by philanthropic and community support. The Educare program is a model for quality child care and early childhood education that features small class sizes, degreed teachers, and an outcome-based curriculum.
We as a people should be willing to invest whatever it takes to bring that level of care up to that standard. I mean, it's our future. One of the things that we will not do at Educare is that we will not raise these kids for a family. You cannot drop your child at the door and leave. you must also be willing to make an investment in the development of your children.
To most people, the word capital brings to mind a bank account or shares in stocks. But there's another kind, human capital, that values the skills and knowledge people bring to their jobs. We had the chance to sit down and talk to Rob Duggar, managing partner of Hanover Investment Group, on the economics of an educated workforce.
If you're building prisons and not building schools, that's the measure of the resources you're leaving behind. If you don't focus on those early years and get that right, you're absolutely leaving money on the table. You're just burning money, because later on you're going to pay $50,000 to $70,000 a year to deal with that person in the criminal justice system. You're going to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars over a 4 or 5 or 10-year period from reduced earnings and tax payments. That employee, that person, is not going to be able to get a good job, they're not going to have a strong earnings, and they're not going to pay much in the way of taxes. They're not going to be able to form families or help make a strong community or attract people to Oklahoma City or to Tulsa. That person will become a drag on the local and the state economy.
As we compete with those newly developing economies of, say, China and India, in some ways it seems that they have the luxury that they have so many people that they may only educate the top tier of their society, where in this country we do try to educate everyone. Do we find ourselves at a disadvantage because of that?
We absolutely have to make sure every single one of our kids is as competitive as possible. We have to make sure every single one of our kids is as socialized, able to work in teams, able to form businesses, able to form families, able to make for strong communities. Every single one of them has to be able to do that because our country is relatively small. The Chinese, if they just super educate 1% of their population, 1%, they have a competitive workforce that is bigger than ours. They'll have 130 million talented, team-oriented, ready-to-go young adults, and we'll have 70, 80, 90, 100 million who aren't, and we lose. It's real simple.
So it sounds as if workforce development is going to be a key to solving this current crisis.
Whether we're talking about financial sector problems or economic growth problems or economic recovery problems, we have to be focusing our energies on making sure that our kids have the social skills to work effectively together, the capacity to trust each other and form friendships and form families and form communities. Those skills, together with basic education, engineering, science, literature, music, all of these basic educational skills, that's what makes for a competitive workforce. If we've got a competitive workforce, we will do okay in the world to come. If we can't, if we don't invest in a workforce, our outlook will be steadily weaker because so many other countries in the world already get this, and they're investing in their kids.
Thank you, sir.
Horizon is now portable. Just subscribe to our weekly podcast. Visit iTunes.com, where you can download our show for your listening or viewing convenience.
And the winner is Jill Davis.
Well, Jill Davis is the 2009 Teacher of the Year in Early Childhood Education. The Tulsa teacher at Kendall Whittier was presented the award with a $1,000 check for her innovative teachings at this year's Early Childhood Association of Oklahoma meeting.
I have the best students in my class, and they're going to be so happy to see me on Monday because I'm going to be in such a good mood now.
Oklahoma Horizon was also honored at this year's meeting for our coverage of early childhood issues. You are the people. You are the people that started all off, that make success stories out of what would be just statistics. So congratulations to each of you too. Well, in the past decade, the cost of daycare has increased by about 1/3, and quality providers are still difficult to find. especially in rural areas. Lana Dry runs a home daycare in Altus, Oklahoma, and says it's often hard to get away for continued training.
It's hard to get because for me, I open about 7 o'clock in the morning and I stay open until late at night. So there's, no possibility of me going to college or, going to classes if they have classes. So it's very hard for me because I enjoy my work. So that's why I go to conferences in Oklahoma City and in Tulsa.
Which is why 17 Career Tech Technology Centers across the state offer both day and evening classes for daycare workers to receive the training and certification our children deserve. Russ Joel traveled to a technology center in Fort Cobb, Oklahoma to see firsthand how the new certification program works.
Jennifer Riley spends her mornings moving and grooving to some pretty sweet tunes.
This is just our circle time. We go over our colors and we do the songs in English and Spanish. I'm going to put it right here, okay?
Jennifer works as a preschool teacher here at the Caddo Kiowa Tech Center in Fort Cobb. And while her job is to help mold the young minds of tomorrow, her time in the classroom today is also helping to mold her own future.
I work full-time and then I take the class at night.
Jennifer is a student in the Pathway to CDA, a revolutionary new program that's helping to better prepare Oklahoma's preschool teachers for the challenges of early childhood education.
It is kind of a stepping stone, if you will, into the early care and education field.
The CDA, or Child Development Associate Certificate, is a nationally recognized training credential in the child care field. And Pathway founders Vicki Rexroth and Gina McPherson envision their program as a way to put CDA certification within closer reach of Oklahoma's teachers.
One of the exciting things is that we have so many delivery methods, and with the unique circumstances of the students that, that this class may attract, we have a lot of people that work full-time jobs, and so coming during the day is not very accessible for them.
Brown bear, what do you see?
For students like Jennifer, who is also a single mother, the class is a good fit for her busy life because it allows her to take what she learns in evening class and apply it to situations she'll face in her daily work. Situations like morning circle time.
Everybody in here is raised up differently. You all come from different backgrounds, but we can all blend together and learn from each other.
Judy Hayes is one of the instructors in the Pathway program who emphasizes the importance of providing hands-on training to her class.
It gives them a feel for what they're actually going to be working with the children. When we work in groups, as we did earlier, that gives them a communication, a sharing of ideas, a feedback, and I feel like that's very important for the students to learn. Otherwise, they're just going to be looking at a book and learning from the book and the videos that are provided.
What age would you introduce the babies where you can undress them? 2. At least 3.
And I really feel like that's probably the most unique thing about this training method that we're doing, is that the instructor can take the curriculum and make it meet the needs of the students that she's training.
Back at Fort Cobb, Jennifer has found a unique way to apply the lifelike dolls in her own classroom.
We are washing the babies, and it just helps them with their self-esteem. Like, we clean every day, we take baths every day, and we just show them, you wash your legs, and show them how to wash. Do you want to wash, Shag? We don't do a lot of sit-down things with the kids because we believe how they learn is best through play.
And it's through that same playtime that Jennifer herself is becoming better equipped to shape the young minds of tomorrow.
We know through research that quality is tied very closely to education, and so we know it's an extremely important piece of working with children, is to also have that education.
An education that makes playtime more than just silly sounds.
Well, 17 Career Tech Centers across the state now offer both day and evening classes for certification designed for working adults. Now, to see where the Technology Center nearest you is, just head to our website at okhorizon.com.
Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, we meet an Oklahoma couple who believe an answer to poverty in Africa can be found inside a log in Oklahoma.
And they're going to be learning how to handle the logs, how to select the logs, how to a little bit about cutting the wood.
On Oklahoma's Show for the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon.
Well, we're out of time this week. I'm Rob McClendon. Thanks for watching. See you back here next time.
Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education, the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food and Forestry, and OETA, the Oklahoma Network. Thank you for watching Oklahoma Horizon.